Usually, when something inflates, it gets bigger. So why is it that inflation has us all feeling like it's squeezing the power out of our dollars? Because the thing that's inflating is the price of living. The reason our grandparents talk about the days when bread was a nickel is because they witnessed a huge shift in everyday items. Think of the value of your dollar as your money muscle and the cost of living as a weight you want to lift. You might be going to the gym every day and feeling strong, but then someone sneaks in and adds a few pounds to your rack. Now you feel weaker, even though you aren't. The bar just got harder to lift. When inflation strikes, your dollar feels weaker than it used to. Some inflation is actually good for the economy. According to the Federal Open Markets Committee, around 2% is the target. Inflation means prices rise across the board in an industry or an entire economy. Let's say 7-Eleven raises the price of a Slurpee. Is that inflation? Not necessarily. Did the Circle K across the street also raise the price? Now we might have inflation. But how does inflation become official? 3 metrics measure it. First, we measure inflation using the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, known as the PCE. It is produced by the Bureau of Economic Analysis and measures how prices change for consumers over time. The PCE doesn't give as much emphasis to housing and rent, and instead takes into account when people's buying habits change. Like when people start to substitute expensive products, like filet mignon, to cheaper products, like hamburger beef. Or when people start to substitute name brand products for store brand products. It also tends to run lower than other inflation metrics, so the Fed views the PCE as the most accurate barometer on inflation. Second, the Consumer Price Index. This measures the average change in prices paid over time for goods and services. The CPI uses 8 categories: food and beverages, groceries, housing, clothes, transportation, education and communication, recreation, and medical care. A 2% raise a year is generally seen as stable for the economy. But by June of 2022, the CPI had risen 9.1% over the previous 12 months. The number fell slightly to 8.5% in July, but still remained near multi-decade highs. The third measure is the Producer Price Index, PPI. This tells us how much a company pays for supplies needed to make their products. Automakers need tires, clothing makers need cotton. When those prices rise significantly, consumers can expect to pay more. In its most simple form, inflation means things are getting more expensive, but you're not getting any richer.